And good evening, everybody. Welcome to Political Focus here on Channel 6 TV. I'm Kenny Fogle, and glad you could join us tonight. We're counting down to November 4, Tuesday, November 4. It's Election Day. That's the day you get to go out and have your say about who's going to serve you over the next several years. Today, we're talking about the Bardstown City Council, and with us tonight is one of the candidates for Bardstown City Council, Mr. Bobby Augustine. Bobby, first of all, I'll let you introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are, and we'll go from there.
Well, I'm Robert, Bobby Augustine. I've been married for 7 years to my wife Jessica. I have two sons, Benjamin and Samuel. I earned a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of Louisville. I interned for the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and I worked in Frankfort for about a year following that. Pretty soon I went into the private sector, into where I was a photography manager for the past 15 years, and that's my story.
All right. Well, sometime during this last year, you came up with the idea, I think I might want to run for city council. And there had to be a reason for that. You had to be a reason why you think you wanted to run for city council, and would you like to share that with us tonight?
Well, I think I can be a voice of consensus. Mm-hmm. It might surprise some people that have read my articles in the paper, but I can be a great compromiser. And I think I can bring coalitions together of people that have different ideas that may be stuck on a reason why we can't move something forward, and maybe we can come up with some compromise that doesn't compromise our principles, mm-hmm. but compromise policy and move things forward and not be stuck on some of the smaller details.
Well, I know you've been going out door to door, and obviously you have issues of your own. So what do you see as the major issues right now that are facing the city of Bardstown, the city council?
Well, the sign ordinance. And I think the sign ordinance is kind of an encapsulation of an issue that business owners, mm-hmm. Some of them tell me, Bardstown doesn't seem to be business friendly. And they give me reasons why, and they say, well, because if I'm at home and I cut my limbs down, the city will come get it for free. If I do it at one of my rental properties, I have to pay for it. Or, they want to advertise a certain way, and the sign ordinance is 55, 60 pages long. They can't understand it. Mm. It causes them issues, and they have to spend time to actually navigate through there. So that's a pretty big issue for me, is to try to make Bardstown a little bit more open for business.
Well, knowing you, and I've known you for quite some time, I know property rights has always been a big issue with you.
It is. It's key for me, property rights. There's a few issues around the neighborhoods that are around some of the distilleries. And my understanding from what I hear is, the soot gets on their homes and things like that. And, I would like to maybe get government to talk to some of these distilleries and ask them if there's anything that they can do to help that kind of situation. Mm-hmm. Ordinances, I think we do need to keep, some ordinances to keep some continuity in the city. And I think, the history needs to be there. It's why people come in to see Bardstown. Also, though, as a property owner and a landowner, you do need to have some degree of freedom and a little, you have to feel like your home is your home and your home isn't a state. So we need to find a gentle balance there, mm-hmm. to where, we can maybe review some of the ordinances that some people don't understand, simplify them, and move forward with that.
Well, Bardstown's been growing over the last several years, and obviously you have your growing pains when you do that. What do you see as a way we address some of those growing pains, or do we want to maybe control the growth a little bit?
That's a great question, and I haven't had a great deal of time to think about it. I don't think growth is ever a bad thing. Mm-hmm. I think that what we do have at our disposal is that we have a great team that works in planning and zoning. Mm-hmm. I would like to see more planning and, maybe a little bit less time enforcing things, but I would like to see, I know that they do a comprehensive plan every year. Mm-hmm. I think that we should look at the comprehensive plan, see where we're going. I mean, they have it laid out for like 10, 15 years down the road, what the plan should be. And I think that we should look at those kind of things and look at the long-term plan when we're going over the budget and seeing that, to make sure that, the budget isn't just a year-to-year thing that everybody's wondering, what's this for, where's the funding coming from this, what's the end game? So I think a good comprehensive plan, you know, as long as we're growing, you know, from the middle out, if it makes sense, you know, you don't want to run infrastructure, you know, this way and have all this in between. You have to build out, you have to give room for growth, and you have to, you know, you have to have businesses that are employing people, or you're not going to have revenue.
So what would make you a good city councilman? What traits and qualities do you have that'll make me say, hey, I think I'm going to vote for Bobby Augustine?
I'm easygoing, and I'm a problem solver, and I don't mind talking to anybody that has an idea or can help the cause. I wouldn't mind talking to the judge executive, whoever that may be. I wouldn't mind working with the magistrates at county. I don't have a problem driving to Frankfurt, and I don't have a problem picking up the phone and talking to somebody in federal government. As you know, bringing ideas in, picking from what we can do legally, what makes sense to do morally, and you know, working together with people and getting it done.
Well, you've worked several years, like you said, as a private photographer, and you've seen a lot of issues that affect business and affect you as a person. I mean, will all that play a little bit in how you work as a city councilman? I mean, that's something that's part of who you are, obviously.
I may have a little bit of a unique perspective, and I really respect our entrepreneurs and the people that work for themselves and create jobs. I think that I might be the only candidate, I'm not sure, but I might be the only candidate that I know of that works for somebody else. So that gives a unique perspective when we start talking about revenue. Because, you know, we all manage households. You know, my wife's a stay-at-home mother, works in real estate when she can. And when our property taxes go up 4%, it matters to us. I'm sure it matters to a lot of people out there. When the occupational tax goes up, you know, it matters to us, it matters to the people that I manage, you know, at work. So I think that's a little bit of a unique perspective that I may bring. It's, you know, I don't want to say it's the working man's perspective, but it's a perspective from somebody that's employed rather than owning a shop.
Well, as a student of government, obviously, I know you've studied government at all levels. Do we need more revenue, or we just need to be a little more careful how we spend money?
It depends on how you want to look at it. Now, you know, 4 years ago, we went and we raised the occupational tax. And I think the revenue from that was somewhere around $795,000 to $800,000. The projected revenue from the occupational tax this year is $1,800,000. And last year, I think they brought in $1,795,000, something in that area in taxes. So, and that was done because we had a revenue problem, or at least that's what was said at the open meetings. We had a revenue problem. We had to finish paying for some projects involving the streetscape and things like that. And at the time, it made sense to me. And I put out a position that, okay, you know, if we need to pay the bills, let's pay the bills. And then let's, you know, sunset that, go back in 2 years. If we still need the revenue, then we can always sign it on and move it forward. If we don't, it will automatically just, you know, go away. Because my fear is one that, you know, some people fear, that, you know, once you give government money, government's going to spend the money. And it seems to have happened. So I think that we should, the budget's grown, you know, prices go up.
Yeah.
You have to pay more for services. You pay more at the grocery. So, yeah, the budget's going to go up. But should it be going up at the drastic incline that it's been doing over the past 4 years? I'm not sure about that.
Okay, well, you know, it's been curious to find out what your ideas were on that. And again, I just want to make sure you address the voters. Is anything you want to let them know about you, or anything before we get out of here tonight that we may not know about Bobby Augustine, or something you may want to say that they need to know about?
Well, you know, I think a city councilman is more of a lobbyist or an advocate for the citizen. You know, one person sitting on the city council by themselves doesn't have a lot of power. And that's a good thing. You know, we should have shared power. We should have checks and balances. But, you know, I think that when citizens or businesses or somebody come to a city councilman and they say, okay, I got a problem or I've got a question, you know, I think that a councilman can often say, you know, I don't know the answer, but I can call somebody that does, or, you know, this is the person you need to talk to and let me know and I'm going to follow up later. I think it's a lot of directing traffic as an effective city councilman. I think it's somebody that's going to act as a check and balance to, you know, the city government is actually kind of a full-time administrative thing, which is good because we need professionals that are trained to do it. Guys like me that are part-time are not going to have the knowledge that you need to do the day-to-day functions, but what we are kind of asked to do is to respect the people's money, respect their property rights, respect what the city wants to do as a whole. So we are kind of a check and balance of the actual administrative end of it. I would like to invite everybody to check out my website, robertaugustine.com. You can learn more about me. You can learn how to contact me directly. And I would appreciate your vote on November 4th.
All right. Well, Bobby, I appreciate you being here tonight, and I think we've learned a lot. And again, Bobby Augustine, he'll be on the ballot come the 4th of November, Bardstown City Council. And again, you've got several people to vote for, several people to look at, and we hope that you make the proper decision that you think is best for you, who will represent you best in the city of Bardstown. So for all of us here at Channel 6 TV, Political Focus, this is Kenny Fogle saying so long. Hope we've done our job to educate and inform. Now it's your turn to do your job, to be showing up on Election Day, the Tuesday, the 4th of November, and make your decision. Bobby Augustine with us here tonight. We appreciate him being here. We appreciate you tuning in. So for all of us here at Channel 6, so long. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.